Ibra di testa, Tonali, gol! Sandro! Meritato! Sandro! Gol!
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the SempreMilan podcast. I'm your host, Ollie Fisher, joined once again by the iced coffee drinking Anthony Torgrud.
Always, doesn't matter how cold it is outside. My heart's colder, so iced coffee it is. Happy to be here, and we got Madison as well.
Yeah, AJ's not lying. He has a really cold heart. But
Cold,
happy to be here as well.
Yeah, and good to have you from the start this time as well. That's always nice. So yeah, here we go. It's Halloween, boys. So happy Halloween. Unfortunately, we have a pretty scary 90 minutes to recap from last night, but we're not going to do that first. We're going to do the Champions League stuff first, just so we're on a bit of a high note leading off the episode here. AJ, you went on a little trip. I'm going to throw that in there because some of the followers might have seen a nice little pumpkin pose that you did and stuff.
Yeah. I went up to Boston and did all that stuff. Then went to Salem, did some Halloween activities. If you've seen the Hocus Pocus movies, been there, done that. So yeah, it's pretty neat. If you follow my Instagram, there's pictures there. If you don't, and you likely don't, because I don't have many followers on there, you're welcome to. So check it out.
Yeah, might put that in the description if you remember to do that. So yeah, boys, we've got a busy episode anyway. We've got 4 games to talk about. Craziness before the World Cup and all that. We've got 2 in the Champions League, 2 in the league, 2 recaps, 2 previews. So yeah, we're back on the busyness and stuff. We will start with last midweek's game against Dinamo Zagreb. Now, I made the mistake last week. I'm owning up to it. Of saying that we played at the same time as Chelsea and Salzburg, and we did not. They played before us. Chelsea won 2-1 away against Red Bull Salzburg, and the time. Yeah, go.
Are we gonna do the transition, or are we just diving right in?
You're in charge of the transition since I've been booted off the admin.
Well, I was waiting for a lull, so you just kept ranting.
All right, there you go. Throw it in. Yeah, here we go. Zagreb review. There we go. Seamless operation, boys, as always. Yeah, so Salzburg had already lost to Chelsea. We knew that we needed to win this, really, to keep our Champions League hopes alive. And given that Salzburg had lost before we played, I think it made things even easier, knowing that if we did manage to get the win against Dinamo Zagreb, we would have fate very much in our own hands going into the final group stage game. And win we did pretty convincingly in the end. I think it would be fair to say that the first half wasn't particularly brilliant as a spectacle. Quite cagey. Dinamo actually started the game pretty well. They were on the front foot for the first 10 minutes. It took us until the 39th minute to break the deadlock. It was a Sandro Tonali free kick headed in by Matteo Gabbia. And then after that, it was pretty plain sailing.
Yeah, I thought we were actually struggling towards halftime. In fact, that even at halftime, I was like, this might not end 1-0. Or at the time, I was like, I don't know if we're going to get a second goal.
Yeah.
And I didn't know if we were going to hold a clean sheet either. And then obviously it ended 4-0. And I felt like that wasn't a good scoreline for the game we played, to be honest with you. Like had 9.
Yeah. Rebic missed so many chances in the first half.
Giroud as well.
Oh my God.
Giroud had like 4 open headers. He should have had 5 goals himself.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah. It really
now it's all coming back, and all that anger and Rebic sucks.
That's a hostile start to recapping a game we won 4-0, but there we go.
Well, when you should have been 4-0 up in the first 45 minutes.
Yeah, I thought the second half was particularly bad. Like when Dinamo knew that they'd lost the game, for some reason they didn't go for damage limitation, and they actually started playing more and more open. And we really could have had far more goals than what we did end up getting. Even like CDK had that one where he could have squared it, but instead shot straight at the goalkeeper. It was a good performance, I guess, but it's kind of mad that on the back of us scoring 4 goals against Monza and 4 goals against Dinamo Zagreb, we're quite a wasteful team. You know,
yeah.
we're not clinical enough. We're still missing the big chances that we generate, but that's the negative aside to it all, I suppose. Interesting thing about this, all the goals were scored with a 9 on the end. 39, 49, 59, 69. Nice way to end as well.
Oh, the minute. Okay.
Yeah, the minute. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And
What
was it?
Sorry, go ahead. I'll wait
No,
till we're done with this.
Yeah, I was just going to say as well, the Leao goal just after half-time was really good because it settled the nerves and stuff, but it was very weird, I must say. Like, he picked up the ball in our half and was just allowed to carry it, and there was a smart run from Teo.
He passed it to Teo, and I don't think Teo saw the pass. I don't think anyone saw the pass, because then Leao just like, okay, I'll keep running.
I'll keep going. He literally ran in a straight line into the box.
Yeah, it basically looked like he just took a really heavy touch in the middle of his run.
Yeah.
Like, it was strange, yeah.
But Teo's run sort of drew him diagonally. That was good. And that's the kind of chemistry that we miss when those two aren't playing together. So that was a nice goal to score as well. And then the third goal was from the penalty spot. Rebic with a nice flick in behind. Probably his only decent contribution of the game, to be brutally honest. He wasn't that bad. He was playing on the right wing, and obviously there's a bit of added motivation for him going back to his home country and stuff. But I think he was snatching at stuff a bit too much. But yeah, nice flick in behind. Tonali dragged down by Lubicic, a guy who had an absolute nightmare, the poor fella, because he then scored an own goal just over 20 minutes from time.
And gave away the penalty.
Yeah, I mean, what a header that was for the own goal. Like, Giroud couldn't bury it as well as that. And he's the one who's trying to do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a job really well done. There weren't many downsides to this performance, I guess, apart from the fact that we missed chances. And we say we could have won 8-0. It very rarely ever happens. Like, when you generate big chances, you do end up missing some. So I suppose we shouldn't get too greedy. But I think it's also with the context of what came in the Torino game.
I mean, it's our biggest Champions League win since Arsenal.
Yeah.
In 2003,
4, I think.
2011, 12.
No, yeah.
Mm.
I remember I was on spring break and I was listening to the game on the radio.
Yeah, and then we lost the second leg 3-0.
This is archaic.
That's the game I listened to on the radio.
Yeah.
Was the 3-0 one. And I was like, stop the game.
Yeah, anyway. Stop the count. Yeah,
well, I think it's ironic that, you just said we rarely score that many goals in a game. And the last time we did score a lot of goals in a game was 7-0 against Torino, who obviously just beat us. So, yeah.
Yeah, we'll save that for the little 2-minute segment that's coming up.
All right.
So yeah,
before we move past Zagreb, I'm going to do a little trivia here for the listeners.
Oh, nice.
As long as it's not for me, because I don't know it.
Yeah, when you're about to know, because I'm about to send it. When was the last time AC Milan won a bigger, larger than 4-0 without conceding a goal in the Champions League?
I know this.
I don't.
How do I message the answer?
I was just going to send it to you guys on Messenger.
Okay.
Just put it in the StreamYard chat.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I hope it's right, because I was just
not.
scrolling through Wikipedia. So
you didn't put a date on that.
Since
I think I know what season that was, though, right? Nope, I did not.
Is it in the chat?
All right, well,
yeah,
continue.
Right, okay, there we go. So drop the answer to that in the comments below. That'd be good to get people in with some trivia. Maddie, thank you for bringing back the trivia. It's been a long time.
I leave for 2 weeks and this pod goes to a shit show, so I got to do something.
Your camera's actually improved quite a bit, by the way. The office upstairs is looking good.
I have natural light.
Yeah, not basement fucking.
And lights that work. I don't know if you remember my basement, AJ, but the lights are always flickering on and off.
Yeah, I remember.
So yeah, that's it. I mean, 4-0 win, happy days, and also that means against Salzburg, which we will preview in a moment, we only need to draw because they lost, and we are now in second position in the group, and it also basically means that Chelsea have pretty much won the group as well.
They already did, yeah.
Yeah, so that's that done and dusted. And now we've just got to hope that we can take care of business there. Just before we move on to previewing the Salzburg game, we'll do tops and flops for this one. My top of the game was Liao, and I'm going to say this with it juxtaposing with what we're about to say for the Torino game. But I thought he was very good. Had a hand in quite a lot of our danger moving forward. Obviously scored the second goal, which gave us a bit of breathing space. He also forced the fourth goal. I guess he won't get an assist because it was an own goal. But yeah, he looked like a live wire, and it was a big performance in Europe for him. So I was pretty happy with how he played.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Matteo Gabbia. First ever goal for the club. And I thought that obviously that was huge at the start of it. Yeah, it was fantastic diving header. We don't score from set pieces, so that was really nice to see as well. And just overall, I thought defensively he looked fantastic. Significantly better than Kier, who also wasn't bad. I'm not attacking him, but Gabbia was definitely the best defender, I think. Yeah, I just thought he looked fantastic. I don't know the stats behind it, but I think he had a near perfect game, or as close as you can get.
Can I say everyone but Giroud and Rebic? Is that fair? Because I really can't I feel like everyone played very well except for
I can
those
tell
two.
you CDK didn't.
Yeah.
I think he got carded and came off pretty early.
He came off at halftime, I think, right?
No, he got carded
in the
52nd minute and came off not long after that.
It was like immediate, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't
He's
his
in
night,
a rut,
was
man.
it really?
He's letting the bullshit get to his head, I think.
Maybe. I don't know. It's a strange one with him, isn't it? Because he's getting himself into good positions, but it's like, how long do you give it? Because people keep saying he just needs a goal to unlock his confidence.
It's been a quarter of the season, man. You can't be like, how long do you... He's 20.
I know, I don't mean until selling him. I mean until you say, okay, Brahim Diaz is starting for...
I think we're already there.
Games.
I mean, he did start.
I think we probably are there, yeah.
I think CDK will start Salzburg game, right?
Yeah, not a lot is known at the moment because obviously we're still licking our wounds from last night's defeat, and I guess we'll see what happens with the selection for that. It might be a 4-3-3.
We really play tomorrow?
Yeah.
We
play Wednesday.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, I was like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, flop of the match has kind of been mentioned there. I will go with CDK, unfortunately. He was the one who just didn't look to click. I think the back four was good. They dealt with Petkovic and Orsic very well. What I was surprised about is that Gabbia and Kier are probably the slowest centre-back pairing that we can put together at the moment. And yet, instead of playing deeper, they were really aggressive. Like, they pushed Petkovic right up the pitch to the halfway line. Tactical analysis, if you haven't checked it out already, then please do. And that was very useful in stopping the supply to everyone else. And that's why our high press looked really good in the second half, I think, as well. So, yeah, the entire back four for me was pretty damn good. The midfield controlled the game to the level that you would expect against a team where there's a gap in the quality. And, yeah, it's just CDK who stands out to me. Unfortunately, has been the one who wasn't quite on the same level as everybody else. But I also agree with what Maddie's saying. Like, we're not in a position to say anything definitive about him yet. New country, new league, new expectations. But just think he's in need of a breakout performance. And when everyone else is burying goals, could have been it, couldn't it? But
yeah. I mean, it's CDK. There's the only other person you could pick out is Giroud, which would be harsh since he still did get the penalty goal. But
yeah,
you could pick out Rebic.
Yeah, I guess you could pick out Rebic as well. He's an interesting character, man. Like football aside, he's just a strange dude.
I wonder if he really is strange, or like if it's sort of an act. So like how Ibra acts in a certain way, you know, to shield how he actually is, coming out with all this lion shit. But Rebic,
you think he's more like not a lion?
I think he's more like a.
I think, yeah. I mean, Zlatan's an act, but I think Rebic is just very like. Why would you put on an act to be a weirdo? It's not like Zlatan puts on this act as like, I'm the greatest human to ever exist. That's different. An act to boost your ego makes sense, your character, but you don't put on an act of like a loose cannon goofball in a game,
Maddie
like.
does.
But that's different. He's not playing 90 minutes of football every week.
I can't play 90 minutes of football every week.
Neither can Rebic, apparently.
Yeah,
I think that's just his character. I think he's just a.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you do probably need some people like that to keep you on your toes. But he does seem a bit strange. He always looks deadly serious, and then he'll do things to make people laugh. Like in the game last night, he deliberately leathered a ball on the half volley to Torino's bench, and I was a big fan of that. But also, that's the loose cannon element that you're going to get.
That's what I'm saying. Like, no one does that as a joke because let's be real, that should have been a card. Like,
probably.
I think the
ref was dealing with something else at that point, and
he did because Torino threw 2 balls on the pitch after they didn't have a ball boy to give us the ball for the throw in. Like they were being, it was gamesmanship from Torino.
It was
and
totally warranted.
Yeah. Small sides do that when they're beating a big team.
Yeah, I actually am on the flops thing. I actually am going to say Giroud. I'm not changing my answer, but I think Giroud is a solid shout for it because the more I think about it, the goal he did score was a penalty from 12 yards. Obviously, pretty high percentage chance of scoring, and he actually missed some sitters. He could have easily had a hat trick, and he said it after the game. Need him to be more clinical than that, especially if he does get the start against Salzburg, because who knows if we're going to get those same chances again. But job done in Croatia. Big win. First away win since beating Atletico Madrid last season. Highest margin since 2011-12, as has already been mentioned. And let's hope that that's what sets us up now. It's in our hands for when we play Red Bull Salzburg.
Sorry,
I was going to do the jingle.
It was the ESPN one, and I stopped halfway because I was like, "That doesn't make any sense."
Equation simple for this one, boys. Avoid defeat, and we are in the Champions League last 16.
That's it. That's all you need to say. Moving on.
All right.
Happy days. Predictions.
I mean, it's really it, though. To be honest, like Salzburg, obviously, good team. It's a home game for us, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's cool. I know they'll have like 4,000 traveling fans. I think it plays into our favor, and I think Pioli's line when he said that we weren't thinking about the Champions League yesterday, because we very clearly were with weird substitutions and whatnot, but we'll get to that. I mean, this is a big game. This is what we hinge our success for the season on, and that's what Maldini's been saying since the summer is our objective this season is to make it to the knockouts.
Yep.
I think this is where all our eggs are in one basket at the moment. Not that we're, out of title contention in the league. Obviously, 6 points off is not a big gap to overcome in week 12. There's plenty of games to do that, so relax. But this is what we want to do is
tell
get out
Steph
of
that.
Tell me that. I was being a bitch last night.
Weren't we all?
Yeah, but you always are.
Correct. Yes. Anyways, beat them. We didn't beat him the last time we drew. Yeah, and if we draw, that's enough. So who cares?
I thought we lost.
No, we drew. Won.
Yeah, we only lost to Chelsea. Yeah.
So Salzburg obviously suffered that defeat at home against Chelsea, 2-1, and their 2 games either side of that in the league. They drew 0-0 at home to Sturm Graz, who were probably like their main competitors at the moment in the league, and won 1-0 against Hartberg. So maybe the goals have dried up a little bit for them. Like they're so used to scoring 3 and 4 that maybe they're having a little bit of an identity crisis in attack. That being said, we've seen that they're dangerous. That Noah Okafor looks like a great player. They've got talent all over the pitch, but they are young and such a high pressure situation. Both teams are young, to be fair, but they're even younger than us, if that's possible. And it is, they just seem to play like a lot of teenagers and stuff. But I expect this to be quite a tough game. I think it does play into our hands a little bit that they don't have to attack us from the off, because that might be a little bit reckless. But
so do you start the game by sitting back a little bit, or do you go on the attack?
I think we still go on attack.
For us, not for them.
I wouldn't change what we do. I think we focus attack heavy, opening 10, 15 minutes, and then sit back, and then we attack again in the second half. And I don't know if that's by design or not, but that seems to be what we do. So go with it. I mean, this is a Salzburg team who has to win, has a chance to win. Like, it's not out of question that they go through.
I just feel like if they attack early, like first 10 minutes, they just go ham, we will concede.
And
If
that's
we are
very
not,
possible.
Like,
And
sitting back.
if we do concede, they're just going to sit back and it's going to be Torino all over again.
Yeah, but also they don't have it in them to sit back. Like,
Exactly.
they just play at 100 miles an hour. So, like, even if we go behind in this game, I don't think it's necessarily the end of the world. Like, 2 out of 3 results see us through. Salzburg head coach, I think he's called Yassel, he'll be racking his brains tonight and tomorrow night thinking, how the hell do I play this? Because if we go for it early on, Milan could score a goal that then makes it a mountain to climb. If we don't go for it early on, then you could look like, you know, you're half-assing it a little bit, and we could still get the opening goal. If they go a goal up, do they then try and defend when that's not what they're used to? Then do they give away the lead? Honestly, like, this is our situation to try and dictate. But Tonali said going into the Zagreb game, as a player, it's a lot easier going into a game knowing you have to win. And that will fire them up without a doubt. And as said, they are a pretty talented group. That I don't know. I think a sold-out San Siro with 4,000 travelling fans should make this as close to being the biggest game of Pioli's tenure as there has been so far. Like, this is kind of his defining moment. You can say the Scudetto, but I think that was more a stretch of games that defined if we were going to win the title or not. We won out 6 out of 6. Like, then the Sassuolo game, you know, that was in our hands and we nailed it, to be fair. But
and it was at the Maipai, which is a much smaller stadium.
Yeah.
We also that was like a home game for us.
It really was. True. Yeah. But this is a big yardstick to be judged on because everything fed into us qualifying for the round of 16 this time. Like, we got pot 1 because of our hard work last season. We got what we thought on paper was a favourable draw. Like everyone's saying, if we don't get top 2, then it's a failure. So if we go through, it's massive. It's massive in a sporting sense, but also in an economic sense because it guarantees us like an extra 12 million euros. And who knows what that could go towards in the January window to then help us maybe reclaim this, defend the Scudetto. Like, there are so many knock-on effects from this game on Wednesday night. And I hope that the players don't feel that. I hope that they just go out and play it and realise they just have to kind of play their natural game.
Do we think, say we win or draw or whatever, we go through, do you think then the January move is pick up Okafor, get him back in the Champions League, or do you think Salzburg would say no chance this season? Because we need a striker, and every time this
can
played,
he
I've been
play
like,
for us in the Champions League though?
Yeah.
He already played for Red Bull.
They got rid of cup ties in 17, 18, 16,
yeah,
17.
Also, you get a new registration window for players after the January window, so we can name him.
I'm not, up to date on Champions League rules.
We're rarely there.
Yeah, we're rarely there. So
yeah, after last year as well, finishing bottom of the group.
It's crazy how it's huge to qualify, but then it's also a huge failure if we don't. There's no middle ground, and there isn't in Champions League. It's either, you can't just be like, all right, we're middle. No.
Well, and dropping to Europa League is almost detrimental to us as far as the league is concerned.
Yes and no. It's detrimental to the league, but it's also good for our players' psyche and experience.
I guess I do think we could go further.
I hate Europa League too, but like, you can't just expect these players to go from no pressure to Champions League pressure, and then expect them to perform.
It's just so many games, and some of the teams that have dropped down,
especially with a coach who hasn't proven it in Champions League, and who proved it for his first year last year.
Look, there's another aspect to this which I think is important. If we do get the draw or the win on Wednesday night, and we reach the round of 16, we're almost certainly getting dumped out in the round of 16. Because we'll finish second in the group and we will play someone who's top their group. And it might be a Bayern, it might be a PSG. It'll be very, very fucking difficult, whoever we end up
also,
getting.
like, if it's a PSG, like, PSG's not, like, great.
They absolutely wipe the floor with us, though, let's be totally honest.
But it could also be a Club Brugge. It could be a Tottenham, a Sporting. There's teams that we could get. It could be Leipzig.
Topspur.
You could be... Did I say Topspur?
No, I
No,
did.
Oliver
Oh, I was like, what?
One of the most
It could be
iconic
Dortmund, you
videos.
know, like there's still teams we
Yeah.
could get in the round of 16 that aren't impossible to beat. Now, knowing us, it will be Bayern, and that's that get bounced. But you know, whatever. At least we got there. That's what matters.
Be a
No,
good
but
test
also
as well. It'd be a good
playing
test.
teams like that is really good for our players. Even
Yes.
though
Yeah.
like we may get demolished, but like
Mhm.
going to Munich and playing Champions League night there versus Sporting or Tottenham, like much,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, and we
different
saw it
atmosphere.
in our group last year. I would argue we played better against those big games
Mhm.
against Liverpool and Atletico than some of the games this season. Obviously, the Chelsea ones were the biggest, and we dropped
That's
the
because
ball on
every game
all of
last
them.
year was huge.
Exactly. They had that chip on the shoulder. They had that drive, that desire to push. And I do think there's something to be said about that. You look at Inter in their group, they looked like they should be finishing third. And they obviously went and did the business against Barcelona. It was huge and fantastic and, good for them, but fuck them at the same time. But
Agreed.
it was like, it showed what they could do going further in the Champions League, which we need to replicate.
I maintain that, like, for future draws, but also for this draw, I would love just to avoid Premier League teams. I feel like
Yes.
give us a Bundesliga team or a La Liga team because we're just not there yet. We played Chelsea kind of in turmoil, and they turned us over twice.
Mhm.
So I think it shows a little bit, but we'll see. We're still in a good position, and
Do you think that
every game at this level is a lesson.
Do you think that making knockout stages will determine if we spend big in January or not?
I think it'll determine if we spend it all.
Yeah, I think it has a big impact. I still
Otherwise,
don't
it'll
see us
probably be loan
spending.
moves again.
Yeah, I still don't see us spending big, regardless, because January's especially like post World Cup. Who knows what it's going to be like? But January isn't really a market where you find much value.
Post World Cup is never a good time to buy.
That's true.
There's going to be some injured
Look at
players.
James Rodriguez.
Oh God, yeah. Still take him now. Actually, no, I wouldn't.
I just think that there's very obvious needs for our team, and if we want to continue our push, we got to fill some of those holes. Striker and right wing and
head coach,
goalie, left wing.
I would like a backup goalkeeper as well.
Yeah. Get
But that's lower on the priority list, I think, because Mignon in theory will be
not
back.
that bad.
Oh God.
Just wait.
Let's do predictions for Salzburg then. I don't really know what there is to say about Salzburg that we didn't mention in the last preview. The players to watch out for are pretty obviously. Still Okafor, Luka Sucic in midfield is great. Benjamin Sesko has actually been coming off the bench a fair bit this season, despite the fact that he's going to Leipzig next summer. Moritz Kjærgaard in midfield. They're a very good team. There's players there that will be there for 1 or 2 years before they go on to either Leipzig or another team around Europe. So this will not be straightforward. We've seen from the first game how intense they play. They have so much energy because they're so young. And that being said, I actually don't think we win this game. And I think that we go behind, which will shit everybody up. But I do think that we get a 1-1 draw.
I mean, that's all we need, so I'll take it. But I think we win. I think we're going to come out in this game more similar to the mentality of how we approached Sassuolo last season, knowing what's on the line, versus you look at a game like Torino where all the teams around us won, and it was a must-win, but we didn't get it because there's 28 games left. The urgency isn't as high. This is the last game. And we've seen what we could do when we need a win in the last game. So I think we get it. I think 2-1.
I think it's 1-1. I think we're going to struggle, but we're going to... There's just no way Leao looks as bad as he did again. I think he's going to be like, oh, shit. No, but Torino was like, no one looked like they cared. But we'll get on to that in a minute.
Yeah. In terms of the team, there's nothing really that concrete at the moment, so I'll just throw it over to you guys. But I think there's some obvious moves to make. You've got to put Benacer back alongside Tonali in the midfield. The rumour is that Kier will come back in to partner Tomori at the back, Kalulu at right back then, and then we'll see if it's Giroud up front, and then it'll probably be Leao, maybe Brahim Diaz, and I don't know. We'll see. There's some talk of a 4-3-3, but I don't know if that's like a bit of a negative approach from the start.
I want to do that.
Yeah,
I think we're going to see Giroud up top. I'm not exactly thrilled by that, but I think that's what we're going to see. It would be smart to throw Rebic on the right wing, Leao on the left, but I think Macias played a full 90, so he might not. Did he play 90? He played most of the game at the very minimum. I know that.
Yes, he did,
Yeah, he played 90. Okay. You have to start Benacer. You had to start him alongside Tonali. That's the only way our midfield operates. Any variation of the midfield is awful. It's got to be Tonali Benacer. That's it. And backline, I'm assuming Kier gets back in there, and then the rest is exactly as you said, and that's probably our best lineup at the moment. I think CDK will start solely because Brahim started in Torino, and it sounds like Pioli's getting to like that tinkering phase of his tenure at the moment. Like he said that we have X amount of games and X amount of days, whatever it was, like 7 and 21 days or something ridiculous. So he's like, there's going to be rotation. Players are going to be playing. So I get that. So I think we are going to see more rotation. So that leads me to think people who were rested, played half a game, are going to be starting this game.
Yeah. It's tough. Like, don't get me wrong, it is tough for any manager to combat the injury crisis that came first of all. We've kind of had 2 waves of injuries, but then also this run-up of games until the World Cup is hard, especially when some of them are decisive, like the one that we've got coming up against Salzburg. But he does need to figure out a way to get the rotations right, because we seem to suffer when we do it, which leads us on to Torino. So 17 games in a row in the league, away from home, unbeaten, playing a team that had only won 1 game at home all season and had only scored 2 goals at home all season leading into this. And naturally, we lost.
We made them look like a Champions League quality team.
Made them look like 1960s Torino.
I can't tell you how many times their fucking dumb commentators like Grande Torino. I'm like, shut up. That team doesn't exist anymore. Like, we just look bad.
R.I.P. After the plane crash and all that. There was the anniversary of that recently, actually.
I wasn't referencing that just for the comment section. I didn't even think about that. I was just saying like that was years ago.
I thought that's what you were referring to. I think it was like last week or the week before was the anniversary of it.
Of what?
The plane crash that killed the Torino team that
I didn't know that they even existed.
Superga air disaster is one for you to look up if you're interested to read upon the history of Torino. But yeah, like all their star players were involved in that. It's kind of like Man United in 1958 with the Munich disaster. Same sort of thing. Anyway,
recently,
Chapecoense. So we lost 2-1. Basically, what happened was Brahim Diaz put it on a plate for Rafael Leao twice in the opening few minutes, and he absolutely squandered both chances. First one, don't know, he waited for it to come onto his left and then just completely shanked it. Our commentator said that he could have. Yeah,
so it looked like he just hit it as it was going up, and so like that one, you could be like, all right, first chance of the game, it's on a high bounce. Like you could give him a little grace for that, especially knowing what he's capable of. The second one was where I'm like, what the fuck, man?
With the first one, if there's anybody that I'd back to be a bit audacious and think he's got more time than he actually has, and maybe try and bring that ball down and take the defender out of the game with a little sidestep, or just do something to try and make it an even better opportunity for himself, it would be Leao. And he didn't. He just snatched it. And I think that was probably the first sign that he was going to have an uncharacteristically bad game. And he did. Yeah, the second one was a far worse miss. We caught them twice in transition with quick switches, and we managed to get Leao right in the position that he thrives in, usually. If either of those 2 goals goes in, it's a completely different game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That being said, it doesn't necessarily condition the first goal that we did concede, which was just kind of it wasn't in a particularly threatening position. And yet, as soon as we gave that foul away, I think it was Kalulu gave that foul away near the right touchline, I'm thinking that's a pointless foul, and sometimes they lead to goals.
Mhm.
And you're thinking
It was
for
also
God's sake.
after he got poked in the eye, which obviously bothered him the rest of his time on the pitch.
Got leathered in the eye by a
Yeah.
boot, didn't he?
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
was accidental.
Rubbing
So
it, like doing this thing, like everything
Yeah.
you do when you get hit in the eye. So he could not see. And that's
Yeah.
why I don't blame him that much. And actually, that's
Yeah.
why I think the only justifiable sub appeal he made was bringing Dest on, even though he's not better, like, but we'll get to the rest of that soon. But yeah, it was a deep free kick. The defense was awful. All you pointed out in the tactical analysis, our entire back line wasn't marking anyone. They were playing zone while all the outfield play or the midfielders and attackers were man marking, which kind of seems like the opposite of what you would want to do. Make the guys who are good at defending.
The
defend people.
guy, the Coffee Gigi, it's his first ever goal.
He didn't even
The
jump.
guy didn't have to jump. He actually craned his head down to get to that and send it goalwards.
And you
that
do
is
see Gabia
unforgivable.
jump in to kind of like get in front of it and just miss completely.
I think I almost get the feeling watching it back again and again that it's not Gabia's man, and he's
No, it wasn't.
just trying something last minute to just try and rectify the danger that he sees ahead of him. But I have to question why the hell Gabia and Tamori were stood on the edge of our 6-yard box. They were playing zone. I mean, you can push the line up a little bit more than that if you want. And this comes back to, did the players, particularly defensive players, not have any faith in Tatarusanu? They're so deep because his radius of command is so small.
That's why they're on the line. They're blocking the near post and the far post, and I understand that. It's because he doesn't come out of his box too much. And that's partially why we conceded this one. Yes, the defense was highly unorganized, but also if you watch it from the camera angle where it's viewing from behind Tatarusanu, when the free kick comes in, he waits about halfway until it gets towards a fucking giraffe, whatever his name was that scored it. Yeah,
I didn't score.
The guy who did score is what is his name?
Gigi.
Okay, Gigi giraffe, whatever.
Don't
He like comes out of his box halfway, stutter steps, and then goes back into his box. And in that time, that's when it connects. And then he dives, but because he stutter stepped back, he puts himself out of range for it. And obviously it deflects off the post and in. So it's more kind of lucky placement from a guy who doesn't score ever. But it was bad defending. It was bad goalkeeping. It was bad foul to concede. It was bad everything from us. It
was bad. Set the tone ultimately.
It did.
But then we went a goal down against Verona, for example. Similar kind of thing where you're thinking, oh no, we didn't. Sorry, we conceded.
We scored in the 8th minute.
Yeah. But we've been behind before in games, and we managed to come back. I wasn't particularly worried. We generated those 2 chances. We'd had a little bit of a wobble, but then you think when we concede, right, let's get back into it before half time. What you don't then do is completely switch off because Torino's players are appealing for a non-existent handball, thus allowing Alexei Miranchuk to get space on the left side of the box. Fires past Tatarusanu. Again, I understand from scoping social media that people are unhappy with him on this goal. Having seen that angle where he hits it through the legs, it does take a bit of a deflection off Gabia that seems to put a strange spin on the ball, but I'm not going to die on the hill that he could have done better or not for that goal. I'm really frustrated with the defending. It was a direct long ball that should not cause any problems. Gabia has the chance to deal with it and somehow ends up kind of striking it into his own arm or into his own upper body, and that doesn't then clear the danger. And we still have the chance to push Miranchuk away like outwards, but no, he gets the shot off and scores, and that was it. There was a bit of a sinking feeling at that point, I think, as if like this is not going to be our night.
I actually wasn't even worried. I thought we would still win going into halftime. It was after halftime when Leao was pulled off that I was like, what's going on here? I thought all the substitutions were wild. But to go back to this goal, this is where people start yelling at me about Tatarusanu, Walid. So, hey, Wally.
He doesn't listen.
Yeah, he does. He listens every week. Walid is a very, very
loyal
listener. Thank you. I couldn't think of the word. He's a very loyal listener.
Love you, Walid.
but he talks a lot of shit to me, and that's okay. We're good friends, so he's allowed to do that. But suck my ass. Anyways, so my issue with Tatarusanu is not him. When I say, I don't know because of Tatarusanu, it's not because I have no faith in him. It's just that his likelihood of making a mistake is significantly higher than Mignon, even Donnarumma and Antonio Donnarumma as well, for that matter. His chance of making a wonderful miracle save is next to zero. You're not going to see those from him. He just won't. So I think he's not going to save every shot that should be saved, and he's not going to save any shot that is really difficult to save, which means we're going to concede more. And I think there are stats to prove that. I don't know what they are, but they're probably there. At this point, he's started more games than Mignon this season.
Has more clean sheets.
No, he doesn't. They're the exact same. They both have 2. But he's conceded more goals than Mignon as well.
How many shot attempts, though?
I don't know. I just said I don't know.
Well,
the stats.
I mean, if you
why don't you know the stats?
You should know.
If you're going to present the argument.
Yeah, if he's conceding more shot, or if he has more shots.
What's his save percentage?
Thank you. Save percentage. What's his save percentage?
I don't know it. I said I don't know the stats, but I used the eye test. It's better. My eye works better than Kalulu's. That's why he came off.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
I'm going to sub you off because AJ's eyes are working better than yours. Yeah,
that is why he came off. He couldn't see.
Yeah,
but I think he could have done better on both of them. And I guarantee you, if that was Mignon in the exact same position, everything was identical. You just swap Mike and Tata. He at least saves one of those, if not both. I do think
gets injured.
That too. You never know. No, because this wasn't a synthetic pitch. It would have been fine. I just look, man. It is what it is. Tata is not a starting caliber keeper. No one's ever thought he was, but unfortunately he's been put in a position where he has to start the majority of these games so far, and
again for like the second season in a row.
And it's really shitty. And look, the first few games that he starts, it's unexpected. He's got to warm up. I get it, but how many games into this are we now? Like at this point, he should be at the most informed point that he can be at.
He's had enough game time. I mean, Dinamo, you can't really judge because they didn't have an awful lot. He did deal well with what came at him.
I mean, they all were right at him, bar 2. I think he made 2 good saves. And I will say, before Wally turns off and gets to Twitter to yell at me here, the first 2
he's already done
shots, I know, the first 2 shots that Tata took in this Torino game, he made great saves. One of them was right at him and he caught it. The other one, he dove low to the near post and saved it. So he did do good things, and I was getting ready to say Tata's having a good game. And then 10 minutes later, he's conceded 2. And you could say it's bad defending. It was. It absolutely was bad defending. But it was also bad goalkeeping, and I think we just have to accept that.
I'll throw something
2 people
out
can
here.
be bad.
Okay, you realize that Mike has played in 7 games, conceded 8 goals, and Tata's played in 5 games and conceded 5 goals.
That's not true.
He's
played in more than 5 games. Are you looking at just league, or are you looking at Champions League as well?
I'm looking at league.
Okay,
this is transfer market.
So look at the Champions League as well, because he played both Chelsea games. He played. The Zagreb game obviously wasn't a goal.
5 across 2 there.
Yeah, so there's 10. There's more.
Mike
than
played at Salzburg.
He let in 1.
Yeah, and then he also played the second game against Zagreb at home, and he let in 1.
Yeah, so both letting in 10 goals. So there's that.
Yeah, it wasn't even the biggest goalkeeping error on the night. But it's an error.
Oh yeah, no, Milinkovic-Savic made the worst error of the night.
I presume they're related.
They are. Yeah, our commentator said they're brothers, and I was shocked. Yeah, I didn't know.
I was really confused. I was like, when did he go to Torino? Like, that's not a good move.
Especially putting him in goal.
I didn't even realize that he was the goalie.
Yeah, Vanya Milinkovic-Savic, who overall had a great game. I thought he actually did really well, minus the error that led to our only goal. At first, I thought we did concede a foul from Macias there, and then after like the third replay from one of the angles, I was like, nah, that'd be harsh to give. Someone needs ambulance help right now in the background.
Look, this is living in London. Like, there's no big production going on here to edit out the sounds. This is real. This is raw. This is authentic. There are people dying
as real
outside.
as it gets.
I do live in. No, I actually live in a pretty crime-free neighborhood, and I've just jinxed us.
Have you seen those videos on Instagram? And it's just like a guy playing video games, like playing games with your friend who lives in Chicago, and there's just gunshots in the background, and then
Yeah.
it pans the game, and they're just playing Minecraft. Anyways,
it's
back
not,
on
if
topic.
it was like that in Camden, bloody hell, you used to walk out of the tube station on a Friday night and there'd been a different stabbing.
Just
It's
run
more
away.
fun than talking about the game. So we'll carry on with the crime stuff if that's all right. All the heroin use going on in the alley near the fishmongers, which stunk. Anyway, Buongiorno as well was partly to blame for that error. Having watched back our goal a few times now, I'm still 50-50 on if it was a foul or not. I think he goes down a little bit easy having felt the contact. It's a bit like Tamari Mount, like in reverse. As in, like, he sort of puts a hand on his shoulder to try and just get a bit of leverage.
Well, they went down at the slightest bit of contact with every single one, and unfortunately, the ref called about 80% of those in their favor. There were so many times when it was just not even 50-50. It was just a tussle. It was nothing crazy. It was like a hand on the shoulder, a hand on the back, and as soon as they felt that touch, theatrics, and the ref's like, "Oh yeah, definitely. Like, let's call that one." And then on the reverse of that, like, I didn't feel like we got any calls in our favor. Unless you want to count this goal, it depends on how you view it, and I definitely see people who say it was a foul, it shouldn't happen. Take it out. We still lost. Let it in. We still lost. It doesn't make a difference. Yeah, but it was a great finish from Macias. I mean that yes, it was wide open net, but it wasn't an easy shot. It was pretty far out, and there were defenders running towards it. It just curled at top left corner, so it was still pretty nice from him. The substitutions though. Let's talk about those substitutions.
Yeah,
taking Liao off was the absolute worst decision. I know he missed 2 huge chances. I know he had a terrible game, but he's the best player in the league. He is the league MVP. That's empirical. There's a trophy for it. You don't take him off when you're losing a game 2-0 at halftime. You just don't do it. If you want to take off Macias, who was really bad, obviously got the goal, but he was really bad. You want to bring on Rebic, bring on a more attacking forward. That makes sense. I get that. You should bring on Benacer immediately, and you should do it for Pobega, not Tonali, who also poor game. Everyone was having a bad game, but you look at Pobega and Macias combined, they completed 23% of their passes in the first half. How they survived halftime makes no sense to me. How Pobega played a full 90 makes no sense to me. Benacer is our most important player. He should have been on there because we can't find our attack without him. I don't think Brahim Diaz should have came off. He had a few fouls called against him, but they were 50-50s. He obviously had the 2 should have been assists to Liao. CDK didn't really add anything. Yeah, Brahim had a good game.
Judging Brahim's performance, saying he was ineffective. The guy should have had 2 assists. Like, how would that have been an ineffective performance? Yeah, fuck off.
They didn't make sense. Dest makes sense because the Kalulu eye problem, and as soon as Dest came on, he created a chance with the cross. Obviously, his last chance was running forward, and instead of crossing, he tried to go on the outside, and then he lost the ball for a corner kick or a goal kick, and that's why we didn't have an attack to end the game. But overall, he didn't have that bad of a game. Wasn't a good one. Don't get me wrong, wasn't a good one, but wasn't that bad. Almost willing to claim him as an American again, but for now he's still Dutch. Who was the other substitution? Oh, Giroud came on, ineffective as per usual.
Went to up front, which I thought was a bit weird. Like,
it was weird. I understand why he did it. We needed the goal. It makes sense, but it wasn't. If you would have left Liao on and just had Rebic, then you got 3 mobile, quick, versatile people up top going for attacks. As soon as Giroud touched the ball, his first thing, which everyone knows he's going to do it, but he did it this time as well. I watched it. He was begging for the ball. Teo had it. He's there waving his hands. Teo passes it to him. And the first thing he does, he doesn't even wait to receive the ball. He boots the fuck out of this ball all the way back to Gabia, who then gives it back to Tatarusanu. It's like, why did you beg for a ball just to kill the counterattack? It doesn't make any sense.
And this is not. We see it time and time again. That's not the first time that's happened.
And it won't be the last.
No.
I don't know how the only players who are getting renewals right now are Giroud. It doesn't make sense.
Maldini spent like useful time in the transfer market negotiating a 1-year extension for Pobega. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing here? Like, that's not.
Beg
that's
you
not
to get off the squad. Like, he's been.
Pobega has looked better than CDK. So.
But it's not saying much. If CDK is a 1, Pobega's a 3. Like, This has been
Slow
bad.
better. So
Yeah, it's not even his fault. It's another like Mike the Tata thing. He shouldn't be on. At least Tatarusanu has an excuse with Mike being injured, but Pobega just shouldn't have been on there. It should have been Benacer, and it should have been Krunic who came on after. Like, where did Krunic disappear to? I don't understand this.
Yeah,
all right.
yeah.
You
I'm not
think
gonna add
Mike
anything to that.
is phenomenal, right? You
Of
think he's
course.
low is better than Tatarusanu. Where do you think he sits in the league for save percentage?
Well, he hasn't played many games, so probably bad.
Yeah,
No.
he saves 65% of his shots.
That's solid.
That's near the bottom of the league.
What's the top of the league right now?
85%.
Who's that?
Oh, is it for Napoli?
I have to go back and look. I'm pretty sure it's hang on, I gotta go back. Tatarusanu isn't even on the list. I don't think he's played enough to.
Well, he's played more than Mike. So if Mike's on the list, Tata's on it, which means
the
Tata's
Atalanta
even lower.
goalie, 86.4%.
Okay, well that makes sense. They haven't conceded many, but
Yeah,
even
they're
then,
doing really well actually.
Mike's still regarded as one of the
far
best.
better.
I mean, he was 5th in.
You're right.
The
I'm
Yachine
not-
Even if
Award.
you want,
I'm just
to
saying.
pick apart his, the goals that he's let in that he maybe could have done better on, whatever. The way that he commands the area is so much better because he's so much more athletic, but
Yes.
also he's so
And
much better with the ball at his feet. Like
It's
so
exposing
much more vocal.
Tomori as well because
Yeah,
you could tell
he's not been
Tomori
good.
doesn't have the faith in Tatarusanu, which is not good because then
he
Tomori's
shouted
overthinking.
at him. Did you notice?
I've been saying
He-
it for weeks.
He really,
That's
really
not
had
even
to go at
Tata's
him.
fault. That's Tomori not being a good teammate, to be honest with you. Like I love Tomori. I think he's our best center back, but he has not been playing well, and I think it's because of his perception of Tatarusanu versus Mike, who's obviously like they're boys, they hang out all the time. But it's interesting how bad Tomori has looked with Tata in there.
I also don't think that the constant changing of the back four has helped. Like everyone's dipping in and out. Tomori has had several different partners. We've fielded like 6 different centre back combinations at various points this season. The only one ever present really is Teo at the moment, and even he was out injured,
moving out right as well, which we didn't do at all last season,
so
and
weird.
and we've seen it a few times this season, so it's obviously a part of the tactic.
That was the moment when Teo was playing right back, and Tomori had shifted over to left back, and Tomori was unmarked, and Tatarusanu was in possession. And instead of giving it to Tomori, Tatarusanu passed it into midfield, and then it came back to him because the guy was under pressure. So Tomori was like flapping his arms about and shouting at him like I was wide open kind of thing, which I think in that case was fair enough. He needs to scan the field better. Anyway, look, it was shit. It was bad. That is a bad way for your 17-match unbeaten run to come to an end when you're bad in all departments. We couldn't defend. We couldn't keep a shot out. The midfield had no control. The attack didn't generate anything after the opening 5 minutes. So it was bad. It was a bad performance. We move on.
To be honest, this is what I think it might have been with the players. And like this is going to sound like a joke, but I'm serious because look at the age of our team. They're all young. The new Call of Duty came out like 2 days ago. I guarantee they all stayed up late last night just gaming. I'm like, oh, it's just Torino.
Potentially.
Like you've seen it before. There's I don't remember. I think it's like Ezekiel Elliott on the Cowboys, or maybe it's not. I don't know. There's a bunch of football players, like American football, that I saw a graph of their performance and the giant dip it takes around the week of the annual Call of Duty release. I saw it on Twitter a couple days ago. Wouldn't be surprised if it's us too, because they are kids. They're young 20-year-old boys. Of course, they want to play video games too, So
speaking of which, Milan are not going to be in FIFA 23 anymore. FIFA 22, FIFA 23.
Well, it's not going to be called FIFA anymore because they lost the license, but it would be whatever is the 2024 edition.
Yeah. So
are they removing them mid-season here or no?
Nobody knows. But I did think it was strange that we partnered up with FIFA when we've literally got eFootball on our training kits. So I did think
we were with FIFA first and then switched to eFootball a season later.
Back again.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. We'll see. Don't know if anyone's too bothered. I know you can mod games to get official logos and stuff if you really want them. Tops and flops. Top for me. This is tough. Tonali. I don't know why he came off at half-time. I thought he was the only one who looked like he had a bit of fight about him. There's one incident in particular in the first half.
Half-time, did he?
Yeah, he was the one who came off for Benacer.
Benacer didn't come on at halftime. Benacer came on like the
Oh, it's
70th
so
minute.
early on in the second half.
70th
I thought it was a poor sub. That, to be
minute.
honest. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought Tonali was
Rebic,
alright.
Dest, and CDK came on at halftime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which blew my
Some
mind.
bizarre substitutions there, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Hard to pick a top, to be honest.
Yeah, it is really hard. It's really, really hard. Teo, I guess. He's
Right,
the only
yeah.
one who played a full 90 that I don't think looked god awful. He had some
I don't
weird-
remember him
scored.
doing anything, and that is
He's a
unusual.
left back. I'm not counting on him to score, even though he does it often.
Oh, I said Macias scored.
Oh, well, he didn't play a full 90. He came off 78th, and I thought he looked dog shit in the first half. He should have been off at halftime. His goal was a great shot, but a lucky shot. There's no reason to be in the position to have that shot. And if the goalkeeper wasn't 80
He
yards
did
off
take
his
it
line,
well.
it wouldn't
I'll give him
have
that.
went in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyone else want to make a call for a top?
No, I mean, I'll just say flop was Rafa. Sorry.
My flop's Pioli.
Oh,
I think
nice.
his
Wow, it's
management
not
was awful.
Tata.
Nope. No, look.
You're right with Pioli there. Like the newspapers give a rating to the manager, so we can do that as well if he was the flop. And he messed up on the team selection, and in my opinion, he messed up on the subs as well.
I don't
So,
think
yeah,
the
that's
team
fair.
selection was that bad. I think the selection for who we played was fine, but very quickly it was obvious that Benacer is too important to this team. We saw that against Verona as well. We looked dog shit with Adley in there, and then as soon as we brought in Benacer, we pulled it off and we left it late. And it was the exact same thing here. Pobega, I mean, he even had a yellow card. I know it was late, but he was really bad. Should have been Benacer immediately and bringing your top midfield when you're down 2 goals at halftime. I understand you're resting for the Champions League must-win game, whether you want to admit it or not. That's what you're doing, but you got to go and get this win as well. You're in the moment, so bring on your best midfielder. You leave on your best attacker, who yes is struggling, but you take off the other guy who's also struggling, who's nowhere near the top of the hierarchy. Bring on your additional winger and Rebic, throw him out right, whether he likes it or not. He's done well there. Leave Diaz, who was having a solid game up until halftime when you took him off. Dest, I get you have to do it. If Clue's hurt, you got to do it. It is what it is there. But yeah, and then when you brought on Giroud, you brought him on for Macias, who just found a goal. He might now be spurred for another one. Like it. That was a weird sub as well. You at least I don't know. Pioli got it all wrong that game, and you're gonna do it. You're gonna get it wrong eventually. But to get it wrong when you're talking about your renewal is a matter of days away because we're all on the same page here. And then, if we don't make it through the Champions League, and this is how we're doing.
Saying?
No, I'm not saying sack him, but I'm saying you might want to hold off on that renewal and see how the rest of the season goes because that was our one goal was the knockout.
Man,
so if we don't get
I
there,
said this like 2 weeks ago, and you guys told me I was crazy.
Well, 2 weeks ago we were unbeaten.
So, yeah, my statement was if we don't make it out of the Champions League, though.
Yeah, but we also weren't losing to fucking Torino's at
We'll
that
see.
point.
I mean, our last result in the Champions League was a 4-0 win. So
Yeah.
even though it feels bad after our first league away defeat of the season, we're still in a good position in the Champions League. Also, I read something saying that Japanese scientists have potentially found a cure for baldness. So
I'll stay bald.
maybe
I won't do it.
Maybe Pioli is distracted by that news, or we'll see an upturn in performance once he comes out sporting like a mullet or something. I don't know. Spezia, let's quickly preview this because I'm looking at the time and Maddie must be furious.
I gotta get to
Spezia.
work. Man.
Spezia were doing well in the game against Fiorentina that I watched them in yesterday. They were heading for probably a hard-fought point, and then they got a red card, and it was a terrible red card. It was like a studs up into the shin, and then Fiorentina won it in the last minute through Artur Cabral. And then in the game before that, they lost 1-0 away at Salernitana. They beat Brescia, who were obviously second division in the cup, but then they drew at home with Cremonese before that, lost 2-0 to Monza before that, lost 4-0 to Lazio before that. They're not particularly brilliant this year. I think it'd be fair to say they are 3 points above the bottom three. They have not won in the last 5 league games. They're letting in a lot of goals. In fact, they have let in the joint most goals in a division, along with Cremonese. We are at home on Saturday night, bonfire night. Let's hope that this is indeed a bonfire of goals, if that makes
Can Daniel
any
Maldini
sense.
play?
He can.
Yeah.
He can. Yeah, and he will score. No, that's the thing, is that they're a
won't
pretty
play.
bad team. Yeah, they're a pretty bad team, and he isn't really getting many minutes. I think he's had some problems with injuries. I mean, there's not much to say apart from the team news. Will obviously be the Nicolau, who is one of their usual starting three-man defence, will be banned for this game. But they've got Kivior, who is a Poland international. We keep being linked with him, but I don't think we need to invest on a centre-back at the moment. Gyasi is the guy who scored the last-minute winner against us in that farcical game last season when the Messias winner had been chalked off, remember? But yeah, they're just not a particularly great side this year. They don't really have an awful lot to come off the bench either. And this simply has to be 3 points, and it has to be a clean sheet as well. I'd go so far as to say that they've scored 12 goals in 12 games. Torino had also scored a pretty low amount, and we helped fix their attacking woes for their day. But yeah, I'm feeling like this has to be a win to 0, just to get back on track emphatically. And I'll go with a 3-0. I think we do win this 3-0. And we ride the high from the Champions League knockouts, qualifying for that. And then we think, right, let's focus on the league. Let's win out until the World Cup break, and then see what comes after that.
Yes, I agree with everything you said. Even 3-0, to be honest with you. I think
Leao
will get back in it.
2-0.
Needs to be a win, doesn't it? Like, if we drop points in that, then we're in crisis. Like, we're 6 behind Napoli as it is. I'm not too worried about that. Like, I feel like we were in a similar spot last time.
No, we have. So last season, Napoli were at the exact same points, but we had 5 more points. We were level with them, but just not in first. So
right, yeah. It felt like our season was thrust into a bit of a crossroads when we lost away against Fiorentina last season, and we conceded 4 goals doing that. We'd obviously lost at home against Napoli as well, in a game that we should have got something from. So there are some similarities with last season. The good news is probably that Atalanta shouldn't be able to keep up that pace either.
Neither should Napoli, but
and they play each other next week, so there's a good chance that we are back in second next week. Realistically, regardless, unless Atalanta wins that, which might be better for us overall,
I'll draw, fine.
Yeah.
I honestly think Napoli win. I think Napoli win.
I think they might.
If it's their year, then fair dues. I don't particularly like them, but it's better than Inter getting the second star first.
So I keep hearing that, it's Napoli's year. They were in first from week 1 to 16 last season. Like, this is the exact same as last season, and we didn't take first until week 28. Like, there's plenty of games left. We have so much time. There's, like, touch grass, go treat yourself to a nice dinner. Like, after the Torino loss, I went out and had some fucking lamb chops, like, at a nice restaurant. Just enjoy life. It's okay. We don't have to be so stressed. There's months left of this, like, there's plenty of time for them to suck.
AJ with a girlfriend is so different than single AJ.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, man. Like, the cutlery being left in the sink and stuff. I'm wondering if there's some.
Her mom watches this now she knows I've been complaining.
Wait, her mom watches this? Seriously?
Yeah, she watched like the beginning of a few of them, and apparently commented on like the fucking TV stand and stuff. And I was like, "Oh, this is weird."
Hello, if you
hopefully she doesn't finish this one because you just said it was weird.
There's no chance she's watching an hour in.
You are literally just digging yourself in a hole.
I'll move. I'll just do. Let me do 2 questions and then we'll wrap it up because it's going to be about 2.5 hours or something otherwise. First one, Lorenzo. Can you switch the? Yeah, cheers. Lorenzo asks, how critical has Benacer's renewal now become? We seem lost in midfield without him, and losing him could arguably be a bigger blow than Leao. Yes.
Spitting, Lorenzo. You are spitting right now. Yes. It's the most important player on our team. I made this argument last week to Stefano, who's like, nah, it's Leao. It's Leao. Well, Stefano, you got bit by a dog and you deserved it for that. So, I'm just kidding. That's mean,
Wow.
but he did get
That's
bit by
like
a
that.
dog actually. So
That's
everyone...
like that Vine that was doing the rounds 10 years ago. It's like, I'm not gonna say it. Say it. I don't care that you broke your elbow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that. But I'm
uh,
glad you got bit by it.
I think that renewing Benacer is very important. I feel like he's more of a team player. Leao is kind of seems like he's off on an island whenever he's playing well. So Benacer.
Yeah.
And Leao's leaving at some point. You just have to accept it. If we don't start winning things, then he'll
Yeah,
leave
but
to go somewhere.
like I don't think he stays here his whole career. I think that's a ridiculous statement, but I
Right.
do think we gotta get something for him. Like we can't let him leave for free. We
No.
give him too much.
And if he's not renewed this summer, he's going to be sold.
Like, we can't rule out the idea that Benacer will one day want to try something new as well. And that's fine, but the renewal's important. Just taking the sale question out of it, because you need it for leverage. Like you need it for security. We can't have another situation where Kessie, it's not going great for him. But Kessie, Donnarumma, these players with value leaving on free transfers, it is not good for our accounts. We need, if they want to go, we need to get money for them that we can then reinvest.
What was our losses this season? Like 60 mil, something like that?
Yeah, 65-ish.
Yeah, and you want me to believe that we couldn't have gotten that for Kessie and Donnarumma combined, like, and broke even this year? Think about it. Like that's how important it is.
Player trading is important.
Yeah,
because he just
We
said
could have gotten that for
it,
Donnarumma alone.
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
We should have. Not every single player is going to come to Milan and want to stay forever. As much as we have this idea in our heads of the club being the pinnacle of everything, a lot will see it as a destination. Don't get me wrong. You'll have Tonali type players and hopefully Tomori and players that say themselves staying here for a long time. Like Benacer is Algerian, born in France. Came through at Arsenal. Like his loyalties don't particularly lie with us. Leao, came through Sporting's academy, went to Lille, joined us. Like, if anything, he's got form for looking for the next step in his career. But we need to make sure that we're in the best position to cash in on those assets when it happens. And then the way our model works, if we get like 90 mil for Leao, that's 330 million signings to improve the squad in other areas. And it doesn't sound too bad when you put it like that, but we need to renew them first to be in a position like that. Last question, Ubirov asks, can Milan's summer mercato be labelled a flop since none of our new players have made any significant impact?
Yes. I don't think it's harsh to do that. I don't think it's fair either. We're in October.
Yeah. At this
No,
very
said,
moment in time, yes.
When you sign a striker, you expect him to score.
Yeah, but we also signed an injured striker for free.
When you sign an attacking midfielder, you expect him to show some creativity.
100%. I do think CDK's done better than his goal tally shows, but he's absolutely floundering upon flop status right here.
Surely I didn't just hear Maddie jump on the CDK hate.
I'm just saying, you expect some creativity, all right? Yeah. He still has time. I'm just saying, And he has shown some, but in the recent weeks, he has definitely regressed, and I think he's feeling the pressure, and he just needs to,
Yeah, I don't think there's any issue with labeling the transfer window as a flop, given how little we spent and how long it took us to spend that little amount, and the fact that he hasn't produced anything besides one assist. Now, could be on 5 or 6, but he also could be on a couple goals, and those are his fault. The assist, you can't blame him for not getting when he lays it on a plate for a guy, but the shots that he's had to score, he's taken really poorly, and you can say that needs to be improved on. So I don't have any issue with people saying he needs to be doing better for the money and the time he's been given. Needs more time, that's fine. But you look at guys like Leao and Tonali who struggled also, and we were given time, but also Tonali cost us very, very little, single-digit millions. Leao cost us more, and it took him 3 seasons, and obviously that's a return on investment that we eventually got to. But there are people, Stefano included, calling to sell him before last season. There's a lot of people.
For Damsgaard.
Yeah, there was a lot of people that said we should sell him for 20 mil, and now we're looking at his 150 mil release clause, saying not enough. So it's just a matter of time when they develop, if they're going to develop. But as of right now, if you can't look ahead, then you could say it's a flop, and that it is what it is because nothing's.
Do you think that attacking players need more time to integrate than a Tonali who's a midfielder, or a Tomori who's a defender?
I think there's too many variables for everyone, and each person's different. I don't think there's a set amount of time for a position to develop.
Tomori looked so different and so positive from the start because he was completely different in characteristics to any other centre-back that we'd had for years. You know, like he's fast, he was aggressive, and all of a sudden it was like,
He was good.
Yeah, he was pretty damn good. And he still is. He's in probably an ebb at the moment rather than a peak in terms of looking at his time at Milan so far. But he's still 24. He might turn 25 actually. That confidence will come back, don't get me wrong. But just
if you want to say like Origi specifically is flopping, I think it's really hard to say he's not, given his limited playing time and his output so far. But that's really the only one. Who else did we sign? Dest has been bad. Dest has been bad for sure.
Yeah, but then also like Dest was only signed on an emergency basis because we suffered injuries, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look at his options.
Never sign Dutch players on emergency. Never works out.
Never. Specifically Dutch.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the other Dutch players.
I think he just didn't want to call him an American.
Yeah, fair. But if you look back at the summer window, I think you could. So we shouldn't have renewed Mirante, in my opinion. We should have signed probably or kept a young Italian goalkeeper to be our new deputy, and then move Tatarusanu to third choice. So that is probably mistake number one for me. Right back, it is what it is. We've had bad injury luck there. Dest was an okay signing on an emergency basis. Centre-back Romagnoli was the one who left, and we signed Malik Chow to replace him. When you look at it, we don't know what Malik Chow is yet. He's played 7 minutes, made 2 heroic blocks, was left out of the Champions League squad list. Hard to say if we've got weaker or stronger in that area, really. We didn't sign a new deputy left back, which we should have done. I think it's obvious that Balotore isn't it. And there was actually interest in signing him and we couldn't sell him. So we're stuck with that situation. In midfield, we've definitely, and I won't hear people argue with this because people have had a go at me on Twitter for saying this. Our midfield is objectively weaker, factually weaker. Like last season, we had 3 starting quality central midfielders. This season, we have 2. That's a fact.
And somehow we're not starting them together. We
lost Kessie. We've brought in Astor Franks. We don't know what he is because he's not playing. You know, he's 19 years old. He's on a loan with option to buy. And Pobega, who isn't a footballer. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not seeing anything from him.
So much better than you guys give him credit for.
What does he do? What has he done? Like, he scored a goal against Dinamo Zagreb that I could have scored.
Well,
he's played semi-decent.
No, I think he's been poor more than he's been.
Yeah,
I can't wait for him to develop, and then you guys are like,
me either. Believe me, I cannot wait for him to do something.
But just the signs at the moment are that he is not capable of replicating the same performances as Kessie. That's just a fact. Like, our eyes tell us that. Our big summer statement signing was CDK, who so far has no goals and an assist. We're all willing to give him patience, but at the moment, that has not returned any of the investment. We didn't strengthen the right wing position at all. The left wing position stayed as it is. And instead of going out and investing in the new centre forward, which we probably needed to do, we signed I'm not going to call him a career backup striker, but we signed Origi, who had some question marks as well as some certainties.
Signed him while injured.
Yeah.
Renewed an injured Zlatan, who knew was going to be out for an additional 8 months at the time of the renewal. Renewing 35-year-old Giroud, who has been our best striker so far, but we've all complained about him almost endlessly this season. You know, he went 5 games without a goal and sandwiched those 5 games with a penalty on either side. So, I mean, if all we're getting is 2 penalties in 7 games from him, that's not good. So, yeah.
No, I agree.
Window was not the best.
No bueno. Rant over. Episode over. I've been your host, Ollie Fisher. You can find me on Twitter at Ollie Fisher. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Feel free to rant in the comments if you want as well. It's always good to get a bit of group counselling done. AJ, thanks for joining.
Yep, Torget45 over there, whatever. Fuck it.
Edward_Toth right there.
Nicely done. Thank you for watching, everyone. If you made it this far, we'll catch you in a week's time, hopefully feeling a bit more joyous.
Eccolo Ante in area di rigore, Ante, Ibra, gol! Vediamo se è buono, ce lo dà buono, ce lo dà buono, ce lo dà buono!